Hi everyone, David Sod here from Skyjems.ca. Thank you all so much for joining me. I have on the turntable an absolute stunner of a 6.74 carat tourmaline, beautiful green tourmaline, gorgeous stone. This is actually one of the most popular colors of tourmaline that you're going to find. This is what many people think of when they think of tourmaline. What's interesting about tourmaline is, from a historical standpoint, is that I've found that studying the history of tourmaline is probably it's probably the hardest gem to study the history of, because there's so many differing facts, right? So we have facts from the late 1800s, early 1900s that say that Frederick Coons discovered tourmaline. If you know me, you know I'm a huge fan of Frederick Coons, probably the most important gemologist to ever live. Probably the most important person in the, to ever live in the colored stone industry ever. And at the very least in the past 150 years, absolutely indisputable. So talking about this gorgeous gem, it's going to make an absolutely fantastic piece of jewelry. What I love about tourmaline is, because of the width and breadth of colors and shapes and sizes that you get. I mean, tourmaline jewelry can be made into just about anything and look like that was the design that gem was mined and cut for. So if you want to do, I mean, it's a nice long rectangle. You want to do some geometric jewelry, it's going to be absolutely fantastic. If you want to make a very classic piece, right, and just say, okay, we're going to put it and either do a halo of diamonds, or what's nice with something like this, because it's a long stone, is you actually just put diamonds on either side, on the long sides, and you don't put anything on the short side, and then that way it kind of gives you a little bit more of a squat look, right? And you can do that with a very classical piece. If you want to get really flowy and use, vines and flowers, it looks amazing. If you want to make a Art Deco looking piece, amazing. Tourmaline really lends itself to probably the widest variety of jewelry styles. And again, partly because, like I said, there's so many colors. There's, of tourmaline, and the crystals give us different shapes. So, we often see these long rectangles. If you were looking at some of the other tourmaline, you'd see that, we have some squat trillions and squares and ovals and whatnot. So really the crystal itself, as it grows, lends itself to a very wide variety of jewelry. The problem is that the word tourmaline comes from the Sinhalese word which is tourmaline, and what it means is multicolored gem, right? Gem of many colors. And the thing is that they've been mining tourmaline in Sri Lanka for at least a few thousand years. I actually have some literature from the Sri Lankan government that says that they have, been mining tourmaline as well as sapphire, because they're found in the same alluvial deposits. Tourmaline is found in the same deposits as sapphire and as garnet and as spinel, of course. So there's reports from them that, tourmaline is 30,000 years old. They've been cutting these for forever. And anybody who would cut a tourmaline versus cutting an emerald versus cutting a ruby versus cutting a sapphire, right? It's often said that tourmaline, red tourmaline was confused for a ruby, and green tourmaline was confused for emerald, and pink tourmaline was confused for pink sapphire. The thing is, anybody who was cutting it would immediately know that it's a different gem. All right, you need to cut it differently. It's a different axis. You need to cut it on. It cuts differently. As soon as you touch it to a wheel, it feels different. So, although to quantify a cut stone differently is a little bit difficult, or was a bit difficult until 150 years ago, when, Frederick Coons was finding it in California, which, that material was then being shipped to the Far East and China. It was very, very popular. until then, it was hard to, it was impossible to say, this is the refractive index, like this is the refractive index, and this is the heat conductivity, and this is the specific gravity, and because all these things are different, we know that it's a different stone. So it was hard to quantify from in a scientific way. But people were doing it in a less scientific way for forever and ever. The crystals that come out of the earth don't even come close to resembling what a ruby crystal would look like, or a sapphire crystal would look like, or an emerald. They're kind of maybe a little close to emerald, but very, very, very different than ruby or sapphire. I mean, night and day, and also very different from spinel. And again, if you've watched a lot of my videos, you know about how I kind of like poo-poo modern day 2019, 2020 hubris that we all have, that we think we know everything today. And I think that a lot of my customers are kind of the same mind, that we understand the ancientness of these gems. So studying the history of tourmaline is probably the hardest gem I've had, the hardest time I've had studying the history of any gem. I've now taken the gem off the turntable, put it into a pair of tweezers for you, so I can show you a little bit more about the scintillation of the stone. Absolutely stunning. You can see just how gorgeous it is, how beautiful the color is. Let me get that back into focus. There we go. Absolutely a stunner. Amazing size for either a ring or a pendant. Take a look at that. Let me just pull it out of the tweezers there for you. Wow. Beautiful, beautiful green tourmaline. Again, like I said before, this is going to make a gorgeous piece of jewelry. If you are looking to have a piece of jewelry made, I'd love to be the one to make it for you. Please reach out to me at david@skyjems.ca. Send me some photos, tell me that this is the stone you want to use. Send me some photos of what it is, and I'd love to put together a quote for you and make you something absolutely beautiful. Thank you all so much for watching. Have yourself a great day, and don't forget to tell your friends about skyjems.ca. Bye for now.